We're going to go through the juicy stuff, which is basically learning 2 simple tricks on how to analyze art or comic book art in order for you to get better at doing it. So let's get down to it. There's one simple question that you need to ask yourself when you're looking at artwork. It's, what is it that I can learn from this? And that simple question has a whole heap of other mini questions involved, which I'm going to go through. So the second key, apart from the main question of what can I learn, is to vary what you study and to broaden your horizons. The basic reasoning behind this is broaden your horizons, broaden what you learn. So that is quite enough waffling from me. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the things for you to look out for the next time you read a comic book to make your comic art better. So, number 1 is anatomy. Different artists will draw anatomy differently. What kind of shape are they using for their anatomy? What parts have they brought out more? What sort of shape language are they using? Do you like it? Do you not like it? How can you incorporate that into your own work? Number 2 is dynamic figures. What are those figures? If you take just the silhouette, what is it that they're trying to say? What kind of emotions are they trying to say? What kind of subtext? The next is faces. What can you learn from that artist in terms of faces? Is there something that you can change about yours that takes a little bit of that? The next is hair. Hair is so varied, and it's something that I personally struggle with, is hair, because there is so many different ways to draw hair. It is unbelievable. The next is line weight. So it's looking at the way that line weight is done. Different artists really do line weight a lot differently. There's obviously the inking that goes in tandem with the line weight. How does the pencils look different to the inking? What can you learn from that? And the next is the rendering style, so also known as cross-hatching. What is it that you like about that? The next is backgrounds. I'm a lover of backgrounds. I am terrible for it. I draw so many little background elements that's basically what I end up completely focused on, because I just love the sort of variety of it. The colouring, I'm honestly not very good at colouring, so I would leave that to the better YouTubers that know more about colouring. However, take note of it. If you're wanting to become a colourist, what is it that you like? What can you learn from it? For me, there's a heck of a lot of learning when it comes to colours. I am terrible. The next up is shadows. This is a lot more complicated than it initially seems, because I've been studying the way that different artists do shadows, and you might assume that it's fully black, but it's not. Sometimes it's textured, sometimes it's hatched out. There's a lot of different ways that you can do shadows that makes it really interesting. Visual effects, so things like explosions and dust and weather and lightning and you name it, there's all types of different visual effects. Sound effects, so this is more for the letterers. What can you learn from the letters on that comic book page? The next is panel composition. What is it about those panels that interest you? What do you think works? And what is the sort of subtext behind those panels? It's very, very interesting. Storytelling, so this is things of use of shadow, the composition within the panel. Are they showing and not telling? Are they doing other things? What can you learn from the overall storytelling? And lastly is the script, which I think is probably going to be a whole other video, because it deserves a whole other video. Probably like colouring and visual effects and sound effects. There's a lot to it, Actually, there's quite a lot on this list that deserves its own video. Maybe I'll do that. Alright, so now we're at the drawing board, and I figured it'd be really useful if I show you how I go about it with the comic book and with some sketches that I've previously done to learn. So what I've got here is a graphic novel called Geiger by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank and Brad Anderson. It just so happens to be that I've picked this up recently and it's gone to the top of my favourite lists. It's awesome. This is wholly my kind of style. So less waffling, let's get into it. So when I was reading this, I just loved the art style. I loved a lot of things about it. I've got these 2 pages from the book that I've done some studies on. So this one here, you can see full page storytelling of something's going off and the dog is losing their bananas about it. And then guy goes running after the dog, gets shot, and these people turn up. And what I do is I read it and I figure out things that I could learn. Like, for example, this like lovely little VFX here. I could learn from that because I've never drawn a rocket going off. I love this type of tree as well, you know, that it's so varied. You've got this one here and those two there. For my own graphic novel that I'm working on, it also centers around a dog as one of the characters. So for me, if I ever see a dog, I'm going to be drawing that to learn and get better at drawing dogs, because that's really beneficial to me. Onto this page. So what I loved about this is that there is these little sort of clouds of dust at his feet when he's running. So I've done that myself as well here. I love that there's like little tiny dust particles as well. Again, backgrounds. I've been doodling some backgrounds and stuff. Okay, yeah, so you can see I've been trying to learn from bits of this, you know, the explosion here. I've tried doing that here. I loved the dog. I think it's in this panel where I love the sort of fur effect. I loved the anatomy on his arm, how he's got the different sort of parts of the arm muscle and the little vein as well. I really loved that. So I've tried to sort of include that in my own study. Oh yeah, and this as well. I've never drawn a box with a top on it, so I gave that a go. And this page for me was just mind-blowing. If you look at the way that he's drawn the bomb going off, and the way that there's actually like negative bits in the person, like they're actually disintegrating in real time, and these little bits are from behind them, you know, like those bits have gone away. I absolutely love that. So I've given it a go myself in these little doodles, trying to understand the sort of thought processes behind it, because if I do it myself, I'm going to much better understand it. Oh yeah, so here I really love the use of composition inside the panel, where it's sort of like using negative space to show them looking into the tunnel like we're inside of it. So I've done a little doodle of that there. And then this panel, again, I love the backgrounds. I know I said it, but I really do love backgrounds. But I love the storytelling of this, that this is the last panel on this double page. And it ends with a question, which I liked. And they're all looking that way. And we can't see that as the viewer. So for me, that's awesome. So I've sort of made a little note to it myself so I can keep that in mind when I'm doing my own work. And that's it. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned anything, if you felt inspired from it, please let me know. I'd be over the moon to know that somebody has learned something or been inspired to draw from what I've put out into the internet. If you'd like further in-depth videos about each of the things that I've talked about, or maybe you want something in particular, let me know in the comments. Obviously, do the usual if you feel like it. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends if you have any comic book art friends. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.